A crazy wise man once said, "Death is all around us, and we don't know when we are going to be its passenger. You are never guaranteed the end of the day." For an Okada rider, Kazim of Ibadan, when he woke up in the morning and had a passenger ask that he conveys him to a forest in Ibadan, little did he know that was going to be the last time he would see anybody he knew. This is the story of the Nigerian Forest of Horrors, also known as the Ibadan Forest of Horrors. If you are ready, buckle up and let's go for a ride. To date, the whereabouts of Nigerian commercial motorcyclist, popularly also called an Okada rider by name Kazim, is still unknown. Kazim is the person who blew the whistle on the evil that was happening at the Ibadan Forest, or the Ibadan Forest of Horror as it has now come to be known. Kazim sent a distress text message to his friends and colleagues while he was being held captive at the forest. One would ask, how did Kazim get to the forest? According to unconfirmed sources, it is believed that Kazim was lured to the forest by a passenger who asked that he conveys him to that destination, and Kazim, being a commercial motorcyclist, would obviously have to oblige for a fee. Unfortunately, at the end of it all, Kazim was not among the victims rescued by people and law enforcement officers who finally showed up at the Forest of Horrors. It's been over 7 days after the tip from Kazim, and even then, curious residents and some friends of Kazim were reported to have been saying that they would still not give up because they believed that he was still around, and maybe he was with another group of kidnappers nearby. Eventually, some colleagues would also claim that they were still receiving text messages from him, and according to them, rescuing him from the kidnappers then would be the only thing that they can give. A search party will be put together, but still, nobody was able to find Kazim. Based on Kazim's tip, law enforcement would eventually show up at the forest, and it was said that there is an abandoned building in this forest, or so it seemed. But then, when police searched the abandoned building, they found skeletons, decomposing bodies, human skulls and bones on blood-stained floors. It looked like it was a butcher house, just that this time around, it was not an abattoir for animals, but an abattoir for human beings. A number of people were also found shackled in leg irons inside this building. Some 7 malnourished human beings, looking like living skeletons, were also rescued in the bushes surrounding the building. According to one of the police spokespersons, she indicated that the motor riders had stumbled on the bodies after complaining to police about the disappearance of a colleague of theirs under mysterious circumstances. This colleague was Kazim. When Kazim was lured to the forest, little did his kidnappers know that he had a phone that he hides on him to send distress messages if ever there was the need to. Smart guy. This would end up being the last straw that would expose what was happening in this forest. Now, according to the police, it is not a common occurrence in Ibadan or in the Oyo State. The police will investigate this crime and all its ramifications, they said. Some way, somehow, to date, after several years, the case still remains unsolved. At the point of this discovery, people came around and were routing, and it was amazing to see that there was just a town close to the site of all that was happening, and strangely, nobody ever lifted an eye to question anything that was going there. Nobody is able to determine whether people living in the town knew that this is what was happening in that suspected abandoned house. It is unclear how the other people who were found there, shackled, chained, and even murdered, got to that destination. But it is being rumored that they were all lured through one or two different means to that location, just as was done with Kazim. Police had to restrain people from barging into the crime scene to see what they could find, as everybody was overwhelmed. Observers say some victims of kidnapping are often tortured and used as sacrifices in black magic rituals. The locals suspected black magic rituals were behind the scores of skeletons and rotting corpses found there. Moving on, reports say that several severely malnourished people were also found in a bush near the building. Now, this is where the mystery gets deeper. It was rumored that as Kazim's colleagues got to the forest and were finding these other people, they were trying to find him. He said he didn't know where he was, but it seemed like he might have been buried. That's the rumor. They tried digging around, but they could not find Kazim. They tried all their best, but they could not find Kazim. And to date, nobody has been able to locate Kazim or his whereabouts. The Ibadan Forest of Horrors, or the Nigerian Forest of Horrors, to date is something like a myth for people who live far off, and a living crime scene for those who live close, and has left colleagues of people like Kazim wondering what had happened to him. Be careful out there. You never know who is who. You never know what is what. A little paranoia can save your life. Keep an eye out.